Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Carving It Up Live right here on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitter. As always, I'm Bryson Carver. What a show we got for y'all tonight. Got NFL talk, NBA, a little bit of Major League Baseball. The playoffs are red hot right now. Dodgers down 3-1 to the Braves for the second straight year. Can they come back a second straight time? We'll see about that. And my Red Sox are down 3-2 to the Houston Astros. I don't want to talk about it. I still think we're going to win the series. I'm holding to it. I'm going down with the ship, baby. That's what I'm doing. That's what we do at Carving It Up. We go down with the ship. But a lot to talk about, though, in all seriousness. Going to start the show by talking about the possible deal that could happen within the next 48 hours between the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans for, you guessed it, Deshaun Watson. Going to talk about that and why I could see why the Dolphins might actually be making this move. They may actually have at least decent reasoning as far as doing it. I'll talk about that, as well as Ben Simmons. Got a lot to say about that. Briefly touched on it on Tuesday on the NBA show with my man John Rivera. Shout out to him. Fan Perspective Podcast. Go check those guys out. But I briefly touched on. I'm going to expand on it a little bit more, as well as opening night. And specifically, my Warriors beating the Lakers. I'm not going to gloat. I'm not going to gloat. But I am going to say, I told you so. And I'll get into that later in the show, as well as at the end talking about my predictions for tonight's game between the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. But first, Deshaun Watson. Now, all the reports coming out of Houston and Miami and around the NFL say that the Dolphins and the Texans have a possible deal in place to send the controversial quarterback, to say the least, to the Houston Texans. As I have a comment here from hours ago before the show started. So out of many one says the Fins mediocrity curse continues. The Fins Dolphins mediocrity curse continues. Here's why I think if it goes through. Now, for the Texans, it makes all the sense in the world. Why? You're getting off of Deshaun Watson, and this issue is no longer a thing. You're already a poorly run franchise. You don't need extra baggage. And so for the Dolphins, though, and this is an organization that I've said for a long time, is their quarterback away. Like, I really, truly believe that get the right quarterback, and they can do some things. They've got the weapons. Offensive line is not very good. They'll improve that. They're a good drafting team, which has hurt their running game, obviously. But again, draft the right offensive lineman, that'll improve. Defense, really good. Brian Flores, excellent head coach. Everybody's talking about, Brian Flores is on the hot seat. I'm like, the Dolphins would be committing organizational suicide if they fired Brian Flores. I mean, he went 5-11 in his rookie year as a head coach. But you got to remember, they're coming off the Adam Gase years where it was turbulent, to say the least. And so they're able to get Brian Flores. They start the season terrible. They're getting blown up by 59 points against Baltimore. They're getting blown up by New England, and everybody in the sky's falling. And they get hot toward the end of the year. And in the last game of the season, they robbed New England of a first-round bye, and New England ended up losing in the wild card game to Tennessee. So they made a dent in the playoffs even without getting there. The year after, last season, they doubled their win total to 10, while they're going from Fitzpatrick to Tua to Fitzpatrick, back to Tua, back to Fitzpatrick, and back to Tua. It was a mess. Going back and forth between quarterbacks, that team still went 10-6 and came that close to the playoffs. This year, it hasn't been so successful. They're 1-5, and it's not getting much better. The schedule isn't easy. And so, for the Dolphins, this is what I think they're doing. What they realize is, okay, we're having a down year. We're probably not going to make the playoffs. We acquired Deshaun Watson. Now, again, the legal stuff, I'm not even going to dive into that. That's not my place. That's, frankly, for most people in the sports media, they're lying to themselves if they think that it is their place to say a lot about this matter, because I have no idea how it's going to turn out. So that's the risk the Dolphins are taking. They're also taking risk as far as, and this matters, in the it could be a bad PR move. And that you're like, wait, hold on. This guy has 22 counts of sexual assault, and wait, y'all going to get him to be the savior of your franchise? That in itself, at least right now, possibly even in the future, could be a bad look for the Dolphins franchise. Highly possible. But what I think they're saying is this. We don't trust Tua so much that we're going to go get a guy who may not even play this season. Like, they may have to go to Jacoby Brissett for the whole rest of the season. And by all accounts, Tua is going to get traded to Houston if this deal does go through. Jacoby Brissett's going to be our quarterback the rest of the year. We're not going to make the playoffs. We'll see what happens the rest of the 2021 season, and we go from there, assuming Deshaun Watson is going to be there. Now, all accounts coming from the league is once he is ready to play, at the bare minimum, he's going to get a 4 to 6 game suspension. 4 to 6 game suspension for Deshaun Watson, because obviously the NFL, whether there's criminal charges or not, whether he's guilty or not, regardless, they can still suspend you. That's their rules. And so for the Dolphins, it number one tells you that they're out on Tua. The locker room doesn't buy into him. The coaching staff doesn't buy into him. We'd heard reports back to training camp that Brian Flores was interested in acquiring Deshaun Watson. So that in itself tells you, I mean, that this has been in the works for a while now, and it's just now ramping back up. I think what the Dolphins wanted to do is let's see how the first part of the season plays out. We've got some tough games early in our schedule, and it's gone pretty bad. They've lost 5 straight. You could argue they should be 0-6. They somewhat lucked out against New England in week 1. And Tua's been good, not great. It just doesn't work. I mean, when you compare him to the other 2 first-round quarterbacks that went in the first 6 picks, you look at Joe Burrow, who's balling in Cincinnati with a busted-up vocal cord, for crying out loud, and you look at Justin Herbert, who's like, I mean, just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Best quarterback in the 2020 draft, in my view. And so you compare 2 of those guys, it's like, okay, yeah, we got to start over. And so what the Dolphins are saying is, look, if Brian Flores is in fact on the hot seat, which I think if he is absurd. If he gets fired tomorrow, he's getting hired within the next 24 hours. I mean, he is that good of a head coach. The Dolphins will be making a massive mistake if they were to let him go. He's that good. Massive mistake. And so what they're saying is, look, we don't trust Tua, A, and B, we got to take a gamble. If it works in our favor, we might be Super Bowl contenders in the next 2 years. You can't say that with Tua. So it's a risk. There's no question about it. This is quite literally the definition of do or die for the Miami Dolphins franchise, because if it doesn't work, Flores probably gets fired, the GM gets fired, and they're starting over, and they're right back to rebuilding. Like it seems like they've been doing since Dan Marino retired. But that's where they'll be. But they look around the AFC, and they see Justin Herbert, they see Joe Burrow, they see Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. They see all these crazy Lamar Jackson. They see all these crazy talented quarterbacks. They even see, I'd say second level AFC quarterbacks like Derek Carr, and they're like, God, if we just had that guy, with the way we can build a franchise through the draft and through the free agency, if we just had that guy, they may in the next few days. Will he be available? Who knows? That's the risk. But I understand why the Dolphins made this move. Would I have made it? I don't know. Next year's quarterback draft is pretty darn weak. The Howell kid from North Carolina, he's fine. I don't see him as a franchise quarterback. Spencer Rattler's draft stock has plummeted since he got benched for Caleb Williams, who's looked amazing, but Caleb Williams is a freshman, so he's not going to be eligible for this year's draft. There's other quarterbacks coming out where it's like, they're fine, but they're not. Like, think about last year, you had Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance and Zach Wilson and Justin Fields and even a lot of people like Mac Jones. This year, it's like, I don't know. Free agent quarterbacks, your best option is Cam Newton. He's way past his prime. I hope Cam gets another shot. He's vaccinated. That's great. I hope he gets a shot, but he's not going to be a quarterback that's going to take you to the Super Bowl. This isn't 2015 MVP Cam. This is later stages of his career, if not the last stages of his career, Cam. So this is a big risk. There's no question about it. This is a big, big risk for the Dolphins, both as far as winning on the field and in trying to win off the field, as far as, because look, there's a certain part of their fan base that isn't going to like this. Maybe some it's for bailing on Tua, but I don't know. I mean, I think I don't think the Dolphins fans will be too devastated that they gave up on Tua. But even if you look at the last few years of teams that have been aggressive in going out and getting a franchise quarterback, look at the Arizona Cardinals, for example. Steve Keim, excellent general manager. They draft Josh Rosen in the top 10 in 2018. His rookie year, he was horrible. He was garbage. You also heard stuff about he didn't get along well with teammates, coaches, blah, blah, blah. They're like, okay, we're going to go and cut ties after 1 year. There's this kid coming out of Oklahoma named Kyler Murray. And 3 years later, the Cardinals are 6-0. And Kyler Murray is in the MVP discussion. So you got to be aggressive. Now, that move is not even close to as risky as this move. Not trying to compare it to, but it is a somewhat similar mindset. As the Cardinals were like, we got to get our guy. The Dolphins, if we don't get our guy in this conference with these young quarterbacks, we don't stand a chance. I mean, again, even in our own division, we got Josh Allen we have to deal with twice a year. We may, if he pans out, Zach Wilson, we may have to deal with him twice a year. So this was, I get why the Dolphins made the move. I really do. Again, would I have done it? I probably would have waited until the legal situation sorted itself out. But then again, there might have been more bidders. There might have been teams like Denver or, maybe even Green Bay once Aaron Rodgers left. Or Pittsburgh. So, I mean, Pittsburgh was even one that was floated last week, I think by John. So, there would have been plenty of bidders, and it looks like the Dolphins are going to go and try and make something happen while the price is low. That's what they're doing. I mean, again, Brian Flores right here, he's putting his job on the line. No question about it. GM of the Dolphins, putting his job on the line. If it works, Dolphins will be Super Bowl contenders soon. If it doesn't, they're going to lose their jobs. There's no question about it. So we'll see, but I do get why the Miami Dolphins made this move, or at least are in the process of making this move. The deal's not even been close to done yet, but all the reports are saying like this is probably going to happen. One report said by the end of the week. So probably will be official by the time I do the show on Monday. So even more to get into by then. So looking forward to it. Let's talk a little bit about the NBA. Outside of a few disgruntled players, it's been by the way, one of those disgruntled players, Ben Simmons. Trust me, we're going to get into him later in the show. But for the most part, I mean, free agency wasn't, huge. I mean, Kawhi was probably the biggest name, but we all kind of knew he was staying with the Clippers for the most part. There was some moves. Alex Caruso went to the Bulls, and Carmelo Anthony joined the Lakers, and Kyle Lowry went to Miami. Like there was some little moves, but nothing like, oh boy, big splash. Like the big splashes were going to come through trades, and not many of those happened. So the NBA tipped off a couple of nights ago. Again, talked about it on the show. Did an NBA tip-off special with John from the Fan Perspective podcast. If you haven't seen it, after you watch this, go check it out because we had a good time talking about predictions for the season, award winners, who's going to win the finals, the whole bit. So, the first game, Bucks Nets. I would have picked the Nets to win. I didn't get a chance to do predictions. I would have picked the Nets to win because, look, it's Bucks ring night. Maybe they'd been caught up in the moment, still celebrating last year, still living in last year, and the Nets would have come in and taken care of business on the road. Not the case. Giannis played great. Again, he's changed his free throw routine. Middleton played well. Now, Drew Holiday got hurt, but he should be back pretty soon. And I know people are saying about the Nets, they need Kyrie. KD had an off night. James Harden was okay, not great. It's one game. It's the first game of the NBA season, guys. It's October. It's October. It's the most meaningless basketball that will be played all year. No question. But the second game is what I really wanted to focus on. Because it was between two teams that have a different philosophy in how they believe they can build a championship contender. I'm, of course, talking about the Golden State Warriors, my Golden State Warriors, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, I heard all offseason, a lot of noise from Lakers fans, all offseason that all you got to do is just stack talent and LeBron will figure it out. He's LeBron James. He'll figure it out. He'll figure out how to get the oldest roster in NBA history. That's not hyperbole. That is the facts. Go check it. The oldest roster in NBA history. He can get them to the finals. They got 6 or 7 future Hall of Famers, albeit most out of their prime. They can get to the final. It wasn't a slight at LeBron, but I did say, look, as great as he is, he can't drag teams anymore. He's still a top 5 player without a shadow of a doubt, but he can't carry teams anymore. He's 36, going on 37 this December in year 19. But I'll say this, you couldn't tell on Tuesday night. He looks great. Anthony Davis looked great. Russell Westbrook was terrible. Shocker. That's because he doesn't fit. Carmelo Anthony, I mean, the dude was faking free throws. I mean, what the heck? It's a pump fake on a free throw. What are you doing, Carmelo? What are you doing? Melo doesn't fit because Westbrook doesn't fit. Wayne Ellington. Trevor Ariza obviously is out for a while with an injury, but he doesn't fit. Guy scored 0 points, same amount of points as you and me combined in Game 7 a few years ago in the Western Conference Finals. But he's going to help y'all win a championship, right? Because he's Lakers Trevor Ariza. Kent Bazemore. Boy, he was good. Kent Bazemore, whew, he was balling out there. Yeah, really was balling. But Russell Westbrook. 4 for 13, 0 for 4 from 3, negative 23 from the field, or minus 23 from the field, mind you, 8 points. Now he'll have better games than that. I'm not saying Russ is going to average 8 points. I'm not saying he's not going to make a 3. But the Lakers' mindset is just get all these talented players together and it'll just work because we have LeBron James. Doesn't work that way. The Bulls didn't just throw talented players at Michael Jordan and say, oh, Michael figured it out. No, they drafted players that fit the system they were trying to run, that fit the triangle once Phil Jackson came in. They signed free agents, shooters, Steve Kerr, John Paxson, Tony Kukoc, that could fit the triangle system and work well with Michael. They didn't just, okay, we're just going to throw a bunch of talented players at you. No, that's how they did it. Golden State, on the other hand, everybody knows Steph Curry. Everybody knows Draymond Green. Obviously, Clay will be back in time, but of course, he didn't play last night. But they kind of got a bunch of lesser-known free agents to the casual basketball fan. They got draft picks from the last few years that not a ton of people paid attention to. You know, I've heard Talen Horton-Tucker is he's the second coming almost. Jordan Poole, 20 points. This guy, Nemanja Bjelica, lesser-known guy. I mean, what's he going to do? He's not going to help the Warriors. He's not a star. He's not a big name. But you know what he does? He fits. A big, that's a good passer, that can shoot, and is a good hustle player. That fits Golden State. And sure enough, Bjelica, 15 points, 4 assists, 11 rebounds, 6 for 7 for the field. He hit a 3 and knocked down both of his free throws. He fits. You look at other guys. Andre Iguodala came back. Iguodala's done. 12 points. Scored in double figures. Otto Porter Jr. Now, he only took a few shots, but he'll fit Golden State as well. Guys like Damian Lee. All Damian Lee really does is he's really just a spot-up shooter. That's all they need. That's all they need. 15 points. Hit 6 for 6 free throws. They can actually trust him to make free throws, unlike Anthony Davis, who went 2 for 7 from the free throw line. And so what it ultimately comes down to is this. Are the Lakers talented? No question. I could argue they're more talented than the Nets. Really? If you look at talent. But this isn't NBA 2K. This is the NBA. This is the real thing. Basketball, how many times we need to learn this lesson? I mean, look at 2012. Look at 2012. The Lakers. Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Pau Gasol. They had Steve Nash, Dwight Howard. That's a lot of talented guys. All 4 guys either already are or are going to go into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. They didn't fit. Some of it was, Steve Nash was old, Kobe Bryant was getting older and getting more hurt, Powell was getting older, and Dwight Howard just didn't fit. That's how it works in basketball. Who fits? Andrew Wiggins. People ridicule Andrew Wiggins. Listen, the only time I've ever ridiculed Andrew Wiggins on this show was when he refused to get his vaccine. Thank God he's finally got it, so that headache's out of the way. But Andrew Wiggins is a guy people have ridiculed for years, right? Because he didn't live up to his number one pick status out of Kansas. And it's a fair criticism. But he's a better version of Harrison Barnes, although Harrison Barnes, if y'all paid attention, he balled out last night for the Kings. But what does Andrew Wiggins do? He plays great defense, great wing defender, actually a decent rim protector as well. He averaged career high in blocks last year. He's a decent passer, has improved drastically in his three-point game, can go get his own shot. That's what they need. That's what they need. That's once Clay gets back, that's the third offensive option. Draymond Green don't score a lot of points. Never really has outside of 1 year. But he's a facilitator. He's a great defensive player, brings great offensive IQ to the game of basketball. Who do the Lakers have like that outside of LeBron? Rondo? That Rajon Rondo that got multiple DNPs during the playoffs last year for a depleted Clippers team. That team was beat up, and he still got DNPs. DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan's going to be a big... He took one shot. Now, he made it his first 5 seconds of the game. But DeAndre Jordan with the Nets did not play 1 second in the playoffs. And he wasn't injured either. They went with a kid, Nick Claxton, who's a nice player, but hasn't accomplished as much as DeAndre Jordan in his career. But frankly, the Lakers don't have the coach. I've never been a Frank Vogel guy. Golden State does. Steve Kerr knows what lineups work. Frank Vogel doesn't. At one point, he had Rondo and Westbrook on the floor at the same time. At one point, he had Rondo, Westbrook, and Melo. It's like, this does not work. Remember when Carmelo Anthony went to the Thunder, it didn't work out. When he was there that 1 year in 2017-18, and Melo left, it was like, boy, that didn't work. Thank goodness the Thunder let go of him. And so the Lakers like, you know what? Let's pair the duo that didn't work. Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony. It doesn't work. They should have learned that with the Oklahoma City Thunder. But because we're the Lakers, because we're the purple and gold, we'll just find a way to make it work. Or LeBron James will just find a way to make it work. That's not how winning a championship goes in the NBA. It's just not. This is why I said on Tuesday, they're absolutely going to win 50 games. There are going to be nights this season. No question about it. They've got too much talent. There are going to be nights this season where they look absolutely unbeatable. And then there are going to be nights where they look like they're not even a playoff team. That's what you're going to get from the squad. It's going to be a big roller coaster. Now look, I think LeBron's going to be in the top 5 for MVP this year. I predicted Anthony Davis on Tuesday to win Defensive Player of the Year. He looked anything but street clothes, like Charles Barkley called him Tuesday. He looked great. LeBron looked great. His three-point game, his mid-range fadeaway, Lord forgive me if I say Jordan-esque. I mean, it looked great. But the collection of talent, I mean, you look at the bench. The bench, Golden State, 51 points. Lakers, 26 points. If you want to look at one stat, that was it. The Lakers don't have a good bench. Carmelo Anthony if this roster was put together in 2012, forget about it. The Lakers are going to win the championship. LeBron, AD, Melo, Westbrook, Rondo, Dwight Howard, that team's just going to blow through. This is 2021. You can't just throw the best players together and expect it to work. If anything, guys, what the Lakers should have realized and should have learned from is Team USA. Remember during the Olympics, Team USA, we were all us spoiled rich Americans. Not spoiled rich, but just spoiled Americans. We're just like, well, what's going on with our team? Like Kevin Durant's having off nights, and Draymond and Jason Tatum and Damian Lillard is struggling. Well, some of it is, A, we have more international talent in the NBA than ever. And B, these guys have been playing together for years, since they were teenagers. We just assume in America, we just put the best American players ever, or not ever, but currently, and they're just going to go and win gold. For years? Yeah. That's because America had the best players. Team chemistry matters, guys. People telling you it doesn't. It does. People say, well, what about Shaq and Kobe? They couldn't stand each other. Yeah, they got pummeled in the finals by a less talented Detroit team that played as a team. Listen, I'm not saying team chemistry is the only thing that wins championships. You got to have stars. Golden State has Steph Curry, who played like trash, and they still won. They got Klay Thompson, who's not a superstar, but he's a star. Draymond Green is a defensive player of the year and has been to multiple All-Star games. The team fits in Golden State. The team in LA does not. It's that simple. So I'm sorry if that was a wake-up call, Lakers Nation, on Tuesday night. That's not a championship team. That is a team that is going to win over 50 games. 54 is about what I think they'll be at. That is going to lose in the second round. They'll have great nights, and they'll have nights like Tuesday, where they completely come apart in the fourth quarter. All right, let's shift to another storyline in the NBA, probably the biggest storyline in the NBA, and that's Ben Simmons. Now, y'all know Ben's been the butt of a lot of jokes on Carving It Up really since the playoffs, because I think about with Simmons that you talk about talented players that don't have the want to, that don't want to be great. Well, really, if we're being honest, Ben Simmons quite literally is the definition of that. Because, you look at a scouting report. I came across this on the internet the other day from the Philadelphia Inquirer. So Jonathan Givney, I hope I'm saying that name right, from ESPN, a draft expert from ESPN and the founder of DraftExpress.com, put out a scouting report on Ben Simmons back in the 2016 NBA draft, when he was presumably, like everybody knew, Ben Simmons was going to be the number one pick, right? And he wrote a scouting report. This is what he said, quote, "While many top picks succumb to the NBA star lifestyle and emerge as average competitors, it's rare to see that at the collegiate level. Here's what NBA teams wonder. If Simmons cares so little about winning crucial college road games at Tennessee or Kentucky that could have delivered LSU to the NCAA tournament, how much will he consistently care about competing over a far more physically and mentally draining 82-game pro season?" End quote. He also said, quote, "Simmons had a penchant for stat mongering. At times, it appears he only passes when guaranteed an assist and chases home run plays at inopportune times in search of a highlight. Simmons seems to value those things over winning." Wow. Let's give it up for Jonathan Givney, because he called it. 5.5 years ago, he called it. Because we're talking about a guy who came into this league really talented. I mean, 6'11", over a 7-foot wingspan, quick, agile, great passer, excellent ball handler, will lock you up defensively, and is an excellent rebounder in part because of his height and length and all the other, tangible things that I mentioned. But at the NBA level, that's not enough. At the collegiate level, it is. He'll get you picked number 1 overall in the draft, as Ben Simmons found out by the Philadelphia 76ers. But do you want to be great? I mean, think about a guy like Steph Curry. Steph Curry is not even close to as talented as Ben Simmons. I mean, not even close. He's 8 inches shorter, maybe more. Somewhat slim. Not a great defender. Not that long. Quick, but not John Wall or Westbrook quick. But what'd Steph Curry do? Overcoming ankle injuries, by the way, along the road to becoming a great player. He relied on what got him there, shooting. He got better at his weaknesses. He's become a slightly better defender, and he's put on about 10 pounds of muscle so he could take the contact inside. because Steph Curry wants to be great. They asked Kobe Bryant years ago about Ben Simmons. And they asked him, about, Ben Simmons, because this is 3 years ago. 3 years later, he still doesn't have a jump shot. But 3 years ago, they're asking Kobe about Ben Simmons shooting. And Kobe's like, first of all, if it were up to me, I'd lock him in a gym for 8 hours and just force him to shoot thousands upon thousands of shots a day. But Kobe also said he's as great as he wants to be. He said if he gets a jump shot, the sky is the limit for this guy. The problem is some people don't want it. I saw a funny stat, actually. I think it was on like Clutch Points, which is a good website for basketball, especially. And it was saying like Ben Simmons has dated more women than he's made 3-pointers. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, you see the other day he's at practice and he's got his phone in his pocket. He's looking at his phone sometimes. He's clearly disengaged at Sixers practice. And then Tuesday, the big news dropped that Ben, during practice, Doc Rivers asked him to join a defensive drill. And Simmons refused. And Doc Rivers, the head coach, obviously, asked Ben Simmons, go in. Simmons said no again. Doc Rivers then told Simmons he should go home, and Simmons dropped the ball and left. So he said, I'm out. Now, I will say this. The Sixers do deserve some blame. And the only blame I can give is this. You coddled him. You enabled him. Because if you let this fester, your worst nightmare is going to come out. And that's, he wants out. I mean, quite literally, Ben Simmons at practice was quite literally the definition of,
hey, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Had everything to do with money. Money is the only reason that Ben Simmons showed up to Sixers camp. He was suspended, by the way, a game which the Sixers played last night against the Pelicans, won that game fairly easily, and Embiid played well. But that's the thing, is he doesn't care. He doesn't. Hey, Doc Rivers told you himself at a press conference during the playoffs after the Sixers lost in Game 7 to Atlanta. A reporter asked him, do you think you can win a championship with Ben Simmons as your point guard? Doc said, I don't really know the answer to that question right now. That probably burned the bridge. Joel Embiid said the turning point of the game was when we talking about Ben Simmons, obviously, if you look at the play, when we passed up an open layup and only got a free throw out of it. Because Ben Simmons had a wide open layup at the basket. The only guy that could have stopped him was little 6'1" Trae Young. Instead, Simmons passed a wide open layup, dumped it off to Matisse Thybulle, who made one free throw. And Embiid said that was the turning point in the game for the 76ers. Embiid said the other day, I'm tired of babysitting. I don't care what that man does. The bridge is burned. Ben Simmons has played his final game as a 76er. Now, there is something that came in a few hours ago from Woj saying that Ben Simmons, he left the team's practice facility on Thursday without working out and is expected to meet with organizational leadership on Friday morning to again discuss his murky playing status, sources told ESPN. So apparently he's going to meet with the 76ers tomorrow. They're going to talk tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to negotiate, try to get a trade done. But again, name a contender that will take Ben Simmons. This is why I said during the draft when there were rumors like Golden State might be interested, I'm like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Like we cannot acquire this guy. He's a cancer to the locker room because he does not care about winning. He does not care about getting better. He's there to collect checks. That's it. That's why we always hear in sport, not just basketball, but just in sports. They're guys that love the game, that put everything they have into the game, and there's guys who love what the game can do for them. And that is the definition of Ben Simmons. I've said this for months. People, talking about, how how Ben Simmons is somehow a victim in this. I don't know what universe that's the case. He brought this upon himself. I mean, Philadelphia would have to literally take him out in the last 2 minutes of the game because Atlanta just kept intentionally fouling him and he kept missing free throws. I use Lonzo Ball as an example. Lonzo is a talented point guard, not even close to as talented as that guy who's currently in Philadelphia. Not for much longer, though. Lonzo Ball had the ugliest looking jump shot, at least I've seen by a guard. Maybe not that I've ever seen, but I've ever seen from a point guard. I mean, Lonzo's shot was awful. It was like shooting across his face instead of like this, a little finger roll. It was like a side release. It was just terrible. What did he do? In addition, by the way, to putting on more muscle, he worked on his jump shot. And he changed it. And he shot 40% from 3 last season. It's amazing what happens when you put hard work in and you're dedicated to what you do. It really is mind-boggling, isn't it? So the 76ers are going to trade him. Now, I think it will take a desperate team to take on this problem. I mean, I really have been thinking in my head, what organization would have a bigger problem to trade for? Is it Kyrie Irving or Ben Simmons? Because, if you trade for Kyrie Irving, you got the vaccine stuff, and he skips games randomly and all that. But at least, when he is on the court, this guy's a showstopper. He's unbelievable. Can put up 40, 50 points on any given night. Simmons, you don't know what you're going to get. He shows up. Well, in body, his mind's not there. So I don't want to hear that he's going to get traded somewhere and that's going to, change his mindset. No, it's not. No, it's not. Guys that don't care from the beginning, they're not going to care in the long run. I saw Jason Kelce, by the way, the Philadelphia Eagles center. And I don't like complimenting Philadelphia Eagles because, frankly, I don't like them because I'm a Cowboys fan. But Jason Kelce, who was actually a part of that Super Bowl team a few years ago with the Eagles, the media asked Kelce about Ben Simmons, and Kelce, he dropped facts right here. He said, quote, I tell guys, you write your own narrative. I don't want to crush any other players. But what's going on with the 76ers, Ben Simmons, stuff like that, all of that is because of a lack of accountability, a lack of owning up to mistakes, and a lack of correcting things. If all that got corrected, if you're fixing free throws, if you're getting better as a player, none of this is happening. So everybody can blank and complain about how tough the city is to play in. Just play better, man. This city will love you. Listen, Philadelphia is a tough city to play in. But this is the second Philadelphia athlete in the last year that we've seen absolutely crumble. The first, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz got his money because he was really talented. He's got the arm. He can move around. Carson Wentz is also a questionable, I'm not going to say bad, but a questionable leader. You don't really know, do his teammates really like him that much? How dedicated is he to football? Can he take criticism? Is he coachable? How does he rebound after making a mistake? Sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it? This is what we're seeing. Joel Embiid can take that. Allen Iverson could take that. Charles Barkley could take that. Dr. J could take that. Go on and on and on with great 76ers players. That's what separates them from Ben. All right, let me talk about the Monday night game. I picked Buffalo to win. I actually picked Buffalo to win fairly easily, but I'm not happy. I'm thrilled with the result. Yeah, it's nothing. I don't dislike the Bills, and I don't love the Titans. I love my fantasy team. Derrick Henry, thank you so much, sir. King Henry. I was down 27 points in fantasy football, and Derrick Henry, that bad man, went out there and got me 3 touchdowns, 150 yards. over 150 yards from scrimmage, and I won. He got me 33 fantasy points. I needed 27. Derrick Henry, you, my friend, are the man. He was my first draft pick. My fantasy season came down to him, and he did not disappoint. But there's been a lot of discussion and debate over the last few days about how Buffalo handled that last drive. So in case you didn't know, the Bills were down 3. That's a very important number now. Down 3 with under a minute left. They're driving down the field, trying to, hopefully in their case, win the game. And they get to, where was it? They get in the red zone. They're driving the football, and they get the ball all the way down to the Tennessee 3-yard line. After it was 3rd down and 6. And Josh Allen makes an unbelievable effort. It's a scramble. He takes off left. He tries to reach the ball, get the first down. He's just a little short. So it's 4th down and inches with 22 seconds left. And again, Buffalo, as I mentioned, they're down 3. So they can kick the field goal and tie the game and pretty much send it in overtime. Or they could go for it on 4th and literally about a foot. Get the first down, use a timeout, and try and go win the game from 2 or less yards out. And Sean McDermott, head coach of the Bills, he decides we're going to go for it. And they decide to run a quarterback sneak. Josh Allen slips, gets stopped short of the first down, and Tennessee wins the football game. Now, there's been a lot of people saying, you kicked the field goal. A lot of Monday morning quarterbacking here. You kick the field goal. They're coaching the results pretty much. And I hate it when people do that. But you kick the field goal, you go to overtime, you guarantee that you're going to overtime instead of taking the risk. It's a end-all be-all call for the Bills. Here's why they did and should have done it. Well, they stopped. Yeah, obviously. They lost. But think about it from the Bills' perspective. I just talked about the Dolphins earlier in the show and why, from their perspective, I somewhat understand why they are possibly about to get Deshaun Watson. Think about this from the Bills' perspective. They're less than a yard short of a first down at the 3-yard line for Tennessee. They've got a quarterback in Josh Allen who's about what? 6'5", 6'6", about 240 pounds. He's a big dude. You got a great offensive line, and Tennessee's defense has kind of struggled to stop you. All you need is a foot. You get a foot, you get the first down, you call timeout, and you win the game. You score a touchdown, next play or two, you win the game. Or you kick the field goal. Yes, you guarantee overtime, but now at that point it's 50-50. In that 50-50, I mean the coin toss. Because if Tennessee gets the ball back, you're in for a big dose of Derrick Henry. And I don't think Buffalo wants that. I mean, heck, they played the Titans last year, and Derrick Henry had the stiff arm of the year against Josh Norman, right? Just threw the guy like he was a child. I mean, it was insane. You want to give Derrick Henry another opportunity to gash your defense? Or wear him down? Or you want to say, let's just go in and win it right here on the road? I agree with the call. I mean, Josh Allen in his career, up to that point on 3rd and short or 4th and short situations, when they ran a quarterback sneak, Josh Allen had been stopped one time before that, and that was because of a bad snap by the center. And the second time now, which was Monday night, he slipped. It happens. It happens on plays like that. So I absolutely understand and frankly agree with the Buffalo Bills call to go for it on 4th and short. If their defense had been playing great up to that point, if Derrick Henry had 20 carries for over 50 yards, okay, we've got him in check. We'll take our chances in stopping Ryan Tannehill. Let's go win this game. But they're like, man, our defense is looking shaky right now. Our tight end, Dawson Knox, is hurt. We've struggled at times to run the football. I mean, their leading rusher, Devin Singletary, had 27 yards. Josh Allen was kind of had to carry the show a little bit. And they came up short. But to me, they should have went for it, and it was a good call. All right, last topic of the show today. A little bit of a shorter show after a string of long ones for sure. By the way, let's talk a little bit about other things going on around sports. I mean, the NBA, we had some amazing games last night in the NBA. I mean, you got, the Hornets came back from down 23 in the second half. LaMelo Ball dropped 31-7. He played great. He really is emerging into a young star player. You look at the Bulls beat the Pistons. The Knicks and Celtics game. I mean, wow. First game at Madison Square Garden, man, and it did not disappoint. It's the Mecca for a reason, and the best game, albeit it's a baby season. I mean, we're 48 hours into the NBA season. It's young, but thus far, the best game by far was played at Madison Square Garden, Knicks and Celtics. I got to say this, though. So the Knicks are up 4 with 9 seconds left in regulation. So Jaylen Brown hits a deep 3. Jaylen Brown was outstanding. How about your first game back from injury? You dropped 46 points. He was excellent. He's a great young player. The Knicks hit their free throws, so they're up. They're back up 3. So Boston, only way Boston can tie you is with the 3. It's the only way they have a chance to beat you. And the Celtics drive the length of the court, and Kemba Walker, Dennis Schroeder has the ball at half court. He's got a wide open lane. But remember, the Celtics are down by 3 with seconds left. So they need a 3-point shot. Kemba Walker closes out to Schroeder, leaving Marcus Smart wide open for the game-tying 3 at the buzzer to send the game at overtime. Now, the Knicks went on to win the game, 138-134 in double overtime. But it's mistakes like that will get you beat in playoff games. Like that's simple stuff right there. So Kemba Walker made a huge mistake there. Could have been a game losing mistake, but hey, they survived. The 76ers without Ben Simmons, without that distraction, took care of business and won. Joel Embiid, 22 points. Tyrese Maxey, who's Ben Simmons' replacement, he dropped 20. Tobias Harris scored 20. Court Mox, who's an excellent shooter, 3-point shooter, went 4 for 4. He scored 22. So Philadelphia played well. Wizards beat the Raptors. Grizzlies beat the Cavs. That Ja Morant dunk. Jeez. Hey, listen, I picked the Grizzlies not only to get to the playoffs, but to miss the play-in. Like, I think Memphis is going to be the 6th seed. I got them winning 51 games this season. They are going in the right direction, ladies and gentlemen. Like, Ja Morant has put the league on notice. 37 points, 17 for 27 from the field. His 3-point shot on improved, but he had 6 assists and 6 rebounds. He is special, ladies and gentlemen. He was great. Timberwolves beat the Rockets. Spurs beat the Magic. Jazz beat the Thunder. Nuggets beat the Suns. And the Kings won a close game of the Portland Trailblazers. Harrison Barnes, like I mentioned earlier in the show, dropped 36 and went 8 for 11 from 3-point range. So my dude Harrison Barnes was balling last night. So got 3 games tonight. My Golden State Warriors take on the Los Angeles Clippers, who are playing their first game of the season. I'll take my Warriors to win that and go to 2-0. You could argue the better game, Mavericks, Hawks, Trae Young, Luka Doncic, people debating even now. Who won that trade in that draft? Was it Dallas trading Trae for Luka, or is it Atlanta getting Trae and trading Luka, obviously? I've maintained thus far Atlanta because, and listen, Luka's great. He's talented. And, unlike Ben Simmons, he cares about the game. He works hard. So that's obviously not the issue. Dallas has yet to win a playoff series. And they've had opportunities. They've played a psychologically weak Clippers team, and they lost both times. Whereas Atlanta, they beat New York, and Trae Young was just outstanding at the Garden. They upset Philly, and they're on the cusp, up 2-1 on the eventual NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks. They were tied. They were tied 2-2. So they had Milwaukee basically in a best-of-3 situation. The Bucks took care of business after Trae Young got hurt. So, they're going the right direction. That'll be a fun game for sure before the Clippers-Warriors game and the Bucks play the Heat. I'll take the Bucks to win. I'll take the Bucks to win over the Heat. I'm not that big on the Heat this year. So that's where I'm at. But last topic of the day, we got a Thursday night football game tonight. We got the Denver Broncos taking on the Cleveland Browns. As it stands right now, the Browns at home without Baker Mayfield. Jarvis Landry, I'm not 100% sure if he's going to play or not, but as it stands right now, Cleveland is favored at home minus 1.5. So the bettors are starting to like Denver a little bit. Now, as I mentioned, Baker Mayfield is out right now with that shoulder issue, and Case Keenum will get the start. Now, Case Keenum is a backup, no question. He's not in the Teddy Bridgewater, who's ironically the starter for the other team, the Broncos. He's not in that category, like I call it, low-end starter, high-end backup. Case Keenum's just a backup. That's what he is. He took the Vikings to the playoffs in 2017. I get that. The Broncos gave him his money, but he's a backup. So, but the good thing about it is he's a poor man's Baker Mayfield. He's somewhat accurate, not very mobile, doesn't make the greatest decisions with the football. So he's a poor man's Baker Mayfield. But the Browns still do have a good offensive line. So despite Chubb and Hunt being out, they still have a pretty good running game. They've got Odell still. They've got an excellent defense. Myles Garrett's going to have a big game. So I think it is going to be close. But I think the Browns barely cover, and they win a low-scoring game, 24-22. Browns win this one and get back to a winning record at 4-3. And I think if the Broncos lose this game, I'm going to say right now, I think Vic Fangio gets fired. Because you start 3-0, but you beat the Jets and the Giants and the Jaguars, like bad football teams, and since you have not won a game. Like the Broncos have a good roster. You can say they're a quarterback away, and you're probably right, but I think they're not only a quarterback away, I think they're a coach away. I think Vic Fangio is a great defensive coordinator. I think he showed that in Chicago. But as a head coach, he doesn't work. So I think the Browns barely cover the 1.5-point spread and win this game 22. I keep botching that. 24-22. Browns barely cover the spread and win 24-22 over the Denver Broncos and go to 4-3. So we'll see. But I think it goes to the fact that Browns have a talented roster, and I would argue they're a quarterback away. Now, Baker's better than Teddy Bridgewater, but there's only so far he can get you. When you have Lamar Jackson in that division and Joe Burrow in that division, and who knows what the Pittsburgh Steelers do, as well-run a franchise as they are after Big Ben is done after this year. I'm not against keeping Baker Mayfield. Depends on what you pay him, though. If you give him Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers money, Russell Wilson money, you're stuck. You are in a bad, bad spot. But if you give him Jimmy Garoppolo money, yeah, that might work. You see, I've made the argument, and I've heard the argument when it's time for quarterbacks to get paid, like it's their time, like they're next in line. Well, they're only next in line if they have at least given themselves an argument to validate getting that money. Like Dak Prescott balled out for 4 years. Josh Allen balled out for the last 2 years. Lamar Jackson has done the same. He's going to get a huge contract coming up pretty soon. You're talking about Kyler Murray next year is going to get paid. He'll deserve every penny. Like when you get that franchise quarterback, you give them their money. Because it's a quarterback's league. You can't win Super Bowls without him. And I don't know if the Browns have a franchise quarterback. They don't have an elite quarterback. So I don't know if Case Keenum being in there will make that much of a difference, to be completely honest with you. Even with Baker, I would have the Browns close. So I don't think that makes that much of a difference. Vegas has moved the line quite significantly, so we'll see. All right, Major League Baseball. Dodgers are down 3-1 to the Braves again. Can they come back again? We'll see. I mean, they got some injuries. Justin Turner's out probably for the rest of the playoffs with a hamstring injury. That's a huge loss for the Dodgers. As we all know, Kershaw's out. But listen, they've still got a good starting rotation. Trying to see who the starters for that Braves-Dodgers Game 5 were the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves, coming out of the worst division in baseball, the NL East, didn't even win 90 games. They won 88 games this season, and they're a win away from the Fall Classic. That's credit to them. Joe Kelly Joe Kelly Fight Club, baby. Joe Kelly is going to start for the Dodgers, so he's going to serve, I guess, as more of an opener. Now, Joe Kelly was a starter earlier in his career, I think with the St. Louis Cardinals, but once he got to my Boston Red Sox, he kind of turned into more of a reliever. The Dodgers signed him. He's been really good there, so they're going to go with the bullpen game. They're going to go with the bullpen game and try and keep their season alive at home. By the way, I got to, before we go, I got to bang on Dodgers fans because Dodgers fans, man, y'all didn't look so good last night, especially compared to Red Sox fans. I'm not just saying this because I am a Red Sox fan, but the Sox got crushed yesterday, and the fans were there till the very end. They were doing the wave. They were swinging Sweet Caroline to the top of their lungs. I mean, they showed up. Dodgers fans, by the fourth inning, were starting to clear out of the ballpark. Like, y'all, I know you're getting crushed, but that's it. That's how long you're going to stay. So, I got to rip Dodgers fans, but listen, I said last year when the Dodgers were down 3-1 that I didn't think they had it in them to come back. They did. I'm going to do it again. No, I'm not. This is Atlanta sports we're talking about. This is like the equivalent of Cleveland sports. Like Atlanta sports just somehow, some way, they find a way to screw it up. They find a way to lose. Obviously, the biggest example is 28-3. I mean, we all remember that. But the Braves had a 3-1 lead last year. The Falcons blew multiple leads last year. I mean, the Cowboys onside kick game was just mind-blowing. They blew a lead to Chicago last year, and they lost a close one to Kansas City. So they blew a lot of leads last year. The Braves, I think the Hawks, not last year. The Hawks had some sort of, trying to remember. I don't know. But that's the DNA of Atlanta sports in recent years. So I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to make a bold prediction. The two teams that are down in their respective LCSs, Dodgers down 3-1, my Red Sox down 3-2, they're going to come back. We're going to get a Dodgers-Red Sox World Series. I'm saying that in part because I want to see that, and I'm saying it in part because I really don't want to see Astros-Braves. I got nothing against the Braves, but I would even take, I want us to win, but I'd take Astros-Dodgers because A, it's what I predicted before the season, and B, I want the Dodgers to get revenge from 2017. So my thing is, as long as the Dodgers get in, it'll be a very interesting series. Now, I want my Red Sox to get in as well, but Houston is at the very least interesting, even though they're still cheating. Anyways, that is all the time we have for tonight's show. We appreciate everybody stopping by as usual. Be sure to catch Carving It Up tomorrow, as always, at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitter. Going to be talking about last night's game, as well as my favorite segment of the week, my predictions for the NFL Sunday games. We got some good ones. We got some games with big spreads. We got some games that are go either way games. Going to include my upset of the week and my If I Were a Betting Man segment. Looking forward to that tomorrow. If you're on YouTube, by the way, click that big red subscribe button and like, comment, share, and helps the channel and the show grow exponentially. So stay tuned for tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter. Have a great evening, everybody. Continue to stay safe. God bless you all. Peace out.